You got me smiling.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here. I'm with Liz Trotter. Our guest today, honest to God, is one of the nicest people you're ever going to find in the residential cleaning industry, Mark Baker. Hey, Mark, how are you today?
Hi, Tom. Hi, Liz. I'm doing great. Thanks for those kind words. I appreciate it.
It's sincere. You know, you are always finding the best in everybody and everything and kind words. And I know that you run your business that way. And it's just kind of coincidental, or I guess fortunate for us, because it's a new year. This is a new year. And we're going to be talking about building an awesome culture in your business. And I'm sure those attributes that we're talking about are a meaningful part of making that work.
Yeah, 100%. And before we kind of get started, I just want to take a second first just to say thanks for having me on. Enjoy your show. And as well, I've had the opportunity to watch you personally speak, Tom, over several ISSA cleaning conferences and North American shows, and Liz as well. And I really, really enjoyed. So when I was asked by your team to come and be a guest, I'll be frank, I was very honored by that. So I really do appreciate it. And I'm hoping that tonight we're going to get an opportunity not to talk so much about high level human resource policies that help build company culture, but more on the little nuances. So maybe what we can do is probably I can go with a very, very short kind of backstory, what led to the big changes that I made and how it helped my provider turnover ratio get in single digits, and
Yeah.
maybe break some of that down and just kind of talk about it and obviously interact with the audience in doing that.
Yeah, I think that would be good. Probably just start with introducing yourself and your business
Sure.
and how we got to this point.
Sure. Well, I own a company. I started the house cleaning business in 2016, and I was a solo house cleaner. And I actually came off a failed business as a basketball coach. I started a community basketball coaching program, and unfortunately, I had failed at it, and I lost everything. I had to start over in life. And house cleaning was something, and just cleaning in general was something that was kind of near and dear to me because my mom had done it. Some commercial work. I had several aunts and uncles had done residential, commercial, institutional. So it was a little bit the type of conversation around the kitchen table when I visited my aunts was about the cleaning industry a lot. So it was something I knew. So I started from scratch. It was just me. I think I was about 42 at the time, 43, and started cleaning my first house. And I had a lot of challenges to get past. So I got past those challenges. I made 90 Canadian dollars in my first month. That was my total sales, $90, and it was a tough month and not exactly what you want to come home and tell your wife you earned at the end of the month, $90. But we're in a small market here in St. John's, Newfoundland, Labrador, Canada. Maybe about an 80,000 person market, at 500,000 people in our entire province. And I was able to work really hard and scale it up provincially to about 1.87 million in sales by November of 2019, doing all residential work. And that was a lot of work and it was very exhausting. And my goal was to go national. And it's kind of what I always wanted to do. And kind of won't get into that here tonight because that's not what this is about. But I was able to launch nationally. Hired just under 1,000 providers from the east or west coast of Canada. And got shut down for about 14 months by the federal government for the pandemic. So I had to survive all that stuff. And I took that time to kind of look at a lot of the numbers. And I know like you're a numbers person, so to speak. And our turnover was probably industry standard, to be honest with you, but it was 172% or something like that. So I mean, we're just turnover.
Probably a little bit better than industry standard, but
yeah, it was really high, Tom, and it was and it was chaotic too. Like we're generating a lot of revenue, and that a lot of revenue allowed us to be blind to the reality of the chaos because there was lots of revenue, and what happened was I actually went down to an ISSA show in Las Vegas, and I had 5 staff members in the office with me at the time. So they flew down with me. I flew down, and it's like a big deal. You're going to Las Vegas. Like that's a big deal. I'm from a small place. It's kind of like amazing going to Las Vegas. And we're pretty excited about going there because I had gone to the Dallas one the year before, and I knew how amazing this experience was going to be. And I knew the round table was going to be huge because I had a chance to sit down with all these different people who were really experts in different fields. Like, for example, Paul Fried was there, and he was doing a round table about marketing.
Okay.
And, you know, he lives and breathes it and walks it, right? Yeah, he's got it, right? So what happened was we broke up into individual groups, and we tried to take in as much of these roundtables as we can with the sole goal of plugging the holes and solving the turnover issue. And I came back from Las Vegas, you know, really depressed, to be honest with you, because I wasn't able to find the solutions. And I remember sitting down in my office, and you know, I had the people around me, and we were talking, and we're like, hey, look, we got to do something. Like, we can't scale this way. We're not going to get where we want to go this way, and this turnovers, and it's just chaos every day, right? And this when we sat down and said, look, you know, we have these preconceived notions of what matters to people, and then we got the feedback that we've actually received. Let's look at ourselves honestly over the last several years, and let's just be honest about what people want as providers, you know, professional house cleaners. What do they want from us? You know, and we took a good hard look at ourselves, and we made a list of the things that, not that we think matters or what you learn in business school matters, but like really matter to people. And then we, you know, built a plan to execute it. And you know, I'm happy to say our turnover right now is only 8%. And we hire 100 people today.
Liz?
Yep.
Yes, Liz?
Yeah, I got a question for you, Mark. So you said you came up with a list of things that really matter to people. Where did you get the list?
Well, basically, we took a good hard look at the feedback that people had given us when they turned over that we were denying, or I was denying.
So from the
me and how from the people who yeah, like it wasn't formal exit interviews or any of that kind of high level stuff. It was more about you know, just like so and so quit, and you know, why do we think that is, and you know, just analyzing the things that had happened over the past couple of years. And we had some amazing people come through our doors too, right? And then it was like, you know, what do we need to do to attract really good quality people of high character, and so on and so forth. So long story short, it's dynamic and there's not any one thing, so to speak. But what I kind of hope to talk about tonight are some of those smaller nuances. And because, like, Liz, I know, like I've seen you speak and stuff, and I know you're really, really highly skilled in human resource management. And you know, I went to business school, and you know, you take human resources courses, and you learn about different types of human resources practices, right? And a lot of times I find in the house cleaning industry, sometimes we're a little bit behind the times, sometimes in some of these practices. And a lot of these practices now are coming over into our industry, and they're being presented as these are new ideas that are really going to be game changers. But it's really just par for the course in a lot of other industries, like, say, oil and gas or something. And so that's kind of not what I wanted to talk about tonight. I want to talk about just little nuances. And the main thing I really wanted to talk about was that we had a cultural shift in the fact that for us, our customers are not just the people who consume our products or services. Our customers are the people who provide our services. And that's true in everything about us. As a matter of fact, I sat down painstakingly, 18 weeks, day and night, writing our brand values. You know, so they weren't just kind of words on a wall. Because, like, I remember working in the oil field, and I worked on one of those oil rigs, you know, 500 kilometers in the North Atlantic off the coast of Newfoundland. And, you know, you got to go up to the OIM, the installation manager's office, and, you know, the oil company or the drilling company that works for the big oil company, like an ExxonMobil or whatever, they'll have all these placards on the wall of the different brand values, right? And you're reading them while you're waiting to go in the OIM's office, and you know it's all just not true, right? That's not how they operate. That's not how they make decisions. And so for us, it was like I needed to make these brand values and these decision-making systems that would allow us to create a culture that attracted great people and had them want to stay with us, right? And that was hard and painstaking. And to be able to do that. And then once we did it, be able to live it on a daily basis. And I want to be really clear, too, as we kind of get into this, is that, like, I'm not, we all don't hold hands and sing Kumbaya. Like, for example, we used to do Christmas parties. We don't give Christmas bonuses. We don't give Christmas bonuses. You know, we don't do personal loans out to people like we did. I mean, I remember sitting down, having someone sit in front of me and be kind of upset that the tires in their car were gone. And as this person was telling me how the tires were going bad, and this is Newfoundland, right? Winter is a big thing here, right? We get a lot of snow, a lot of ice. And, you know, and I remember saying, is $3,000 enough? And the person saying, the provider saying, what do you mean? What is $3,000 enough to like, take care of the car issues and the tires? And the person going, yeah, well, that's already sent to your account. You know, I'll just take $100 a paycheck to pay back. You know, these were the type of things we did regularly, right? Or we'd have this really big party and, you know, we'd have, you know, 40 or 50 professional house cleaners there, and people would come in and, you know, do their hair and do their nails and take them on a party bus to a bottle service. You know, we do all these nice things, which these are things you would think would matter and show value and appreciation. But our turnover was just as bad as ever. And what's interesting is our turnover is in single digit now, but we literally don't do any of that. So the question is like, well, what's different, right? And
So, all right, so you've strung us along, you got us. Tell us what you do.
okay, so
you have our attention.
so when someone is your customer, how do you behave with them? And so I ask you that question. So how do you, Tom? You know, how do you treat your customers?
Well, you try to treat them well. You try to meet their expectations or exceed their expectations.
Okay, so let's stop right there. So meet expectations. Okay, so meet expectations. Okay, that's excellent. So what other type of things do you do with customers outside of trying to meet their expectations? We're just going to gather one or two here. Pardon me?
Liz?
Well, like Tom said, he doesn't just try to meet them, he tries to exceed them.
Sure. So expectations is a general theme there, right? And I'll throw one out there to kind of get it going. How about responsiveness? Tom, you're a metrics guy. Do you measure responsiveness and how long it takes your people to answer phone calls, to respond to emails, to respond to tickets, or whatever way you guys communicate?
Sure.
You know, and not just with the house cleaning businesses you're involved with, but like with Made Central. You know, that software, we have all of these end user customers who run house cleaning businesses. And you have a ticketing system, I'm sure, I hope, in place in order to, you know, respond and manage their queries, right?
Oh yeah,
And-
they're
and-
very responsive.
Yeah, and that's a metric that we measure, how long it takes to respond and how long it takes to get an issue resolved. And
Yeah.
So let's just look at those two things.
Consistency, Mark.
Consistency. Well, that's actually a really, really good one. So consistency, whether that's the quality of the work that your company does in the field, or consistency in how you're communicating with your customers, and consistency just across the whole board.
Right.
Okay, so let's just focus on those three. Okay. So those are three things. So we got expectations, we got responsiveness, and we got consistency. So those are three things that yourself and Tom feel are really important to both of you with the different businesses you're involved with when it comes to your customer service. That's how you like to treat your customers, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's talk about different jobs you've all held over. Like I've been self-employed a long time, but I've had regular jobs sometimes, occasionally, for short periods, until they would fire me from them. so I had become self-employed. I'm the only guy I got fired from PetSmart. It's bad. So, but no, jokes aside though, right? Like so. Let's talk about jobs we've had, and maybe you work somewhere. Okay. Let's use this example. How about you get contacted by a customer who you clean houses for bi-weekly for 3 years, and even though your system sends them out invoices, they might have a customer dashboard. You know, there's a record of accounts of the money they spent with you. Maybe tomorrow they reach out to you and they're like, "Hey, I was wondering if I can get a copy of my invoices or my spends from back in 2017." So now if that happened in my company, okay, well, the first thing that's going to happen is however that communication came in, whether it was, a web chat or a text message, an email, a phone call, a social media DM that goes to a web chat widget, whatever the case might be, it's going to create a ticket, right? A numbered ticket. Okay. And we're going to respond to that person promptly. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Thank you so much for reaching out to us. We're really happy to get that for you. We can expect to have that for you in X amount of time, or here it is now. Is there anything else I can assist you with today? Yeah. Right? I mean, that's how you respond. I mean, Tom, would you agree that's how your company responds?
We aspire to.
I think from what I know of people who know you and actually are customers of yours who use your software, that's what I've been told how you respond. So
Okay.
I'm gonna go with that, right?
For the most
And
part, you know, that's true. That's absolutely the system that you create.
right,
Is that somebody gets in touch with you, they put into a docket. We've got a plan for how quickly we're going to get back to them. Absolutely,
okay.
and then we're gonna resolve their issues best we can.
Sure, resolve the ticket, right? It's going to create a ticket, you know, it may get escalated. You know, there's lots of different things you do inside ticketing software to deal with this. Now, what if you get contacted by someone who is a provider? And I use the term provider, but, you know, house cleaner, cleaning technician, all the different terms people use in our industry, but provider is what we say. So what if we have a provider that reaches out and maybe that provider says, hey, you know what? I was hoping I can get a copy of this or a copy of what my total income was with you in 2017. What do we think that the average company is going to behave like? And I can say that it's my opinion from my personal experience wanting a document from companies I've worked for over the years, like, you know, that was self-employed, that I knew the minute I reached out that I probably wasn't going to get a response. I definitely wasn't going to get a prompt response. And I was never getting that document unless I fought for it and became the squeaky wheel. Right? And that's generally how it is with a lot of people.
Experience.
Really, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see that happening.
Maybe in a big company, but not in a small business. I've worked for a lot of small businesses. That's not as common. Now, maybe at Jack in the Box, when I worked at Jack in the Box, I could see that happening, right?
So it is. So okay, yeah. So what my experience has been is that's generally is the way it is. And the experience of the people that we now speak to, because we do have proper, like, you know, ways of getting metrics and X interviews and all the things that's a commonality, right? And so what if that person who came and asked for that was someone that you had fired? Maybe you fired them for theft. Maybe you fired them for something serious. No, I'm being serious. This is a real life use case. It happens, right?
I'm laughing. I'm like, that seems like something that would happen. Somebody, you fired them for theft, and then they call you and say, hey, can I get a favor?
If you work in the residential cleaning business, you know that happens. So
that's why I'm laughing.
Yeah. So the question is that, well, how do you respond? There's going to be a lot of people who are going to take that and they're going to say, you know, I may not get back to this person at all because of the history, or, you know, I already gave you this information when you exited on your T4A. I don't know if you guys call them 1099s or something. Down in America, 1099s and W-2s, I think is what you call the forms for employees.
Those are the tax forms that people get, yeah.
We have T4s and T4As in Canada.
Okay.
So we probably, you know, would respond that way. But the reality is that we don't. We respond the exact same way. Hi, Mary. Thank you so much for reaching out to us today. You know, we're really happy to hear from you. Here's a copy of your total income or that form that you needed from 2017. Is there anything else I can assist you with today? You know, and that person doesn't take, the customer, so to speak, the person who wants a book with us doesn't take any priority higher than the provider. So when does that start, right?
I got to check this. I got to check. Because guaranteed, I don't mean thumbs down. That's the only thing that shows. I got to check this because people are going to ask this question for sure. So what I heard you just say is, if you have a customer and they need something from you, that they are not more important to you than the employee who stole from you, correct?
The provider providers are customers. It's that simple. Now, the reality is that we have.
You're not going to answer my question.
I am answering your question.
Okay.
I am answering your question. I didn't say that we were more important. I said they were equally important.
Equally. Okay.
Right? Yeah, and one is not more important than the other because there's brand standards, and the brand standards are this.
Okay.
Our customers are the providers and the consumers of our services. Without customers, there's no business. Without providers, there's no business. Everyone, you know, has all these pie in the sky ideas when you start a residential cleaning company. We're getting business. That's generally the easier part. Getting providers to perform the work is that's the magic, isn't it? So the thing is that, right, you got to have both, and the harder one to get tends to be the providers, in my experience. Yeah. So that's a culture that we build. Now, maybe that use case wasn't a great use case. Maybe we should talk about someone who didn't have a bad experience, or someone that is currently with us. So let's talk about that. So
Yeah.
tonight on the way over, I was driving home from the office, and it's like the next town over. I'm going to get Scarlett May from the after school and make it here. And on the drive, I called one of our providers, and I called someone who was about 6 weeks in. So, they went through an application process, an onboarding process, 6 weeks in, just got, I think the last paycheck was about $1,240 for a week, gross with online tips, no cash tips. And I said, hey, I'm going to be on a show tonight. I said who you were. And I said, give it to me honest, because this guy's a good communicator. And I was like, what are the things about this company that you think are different culturally from your previous experiences, right? Mm-hmm. And this person had worked as a PCA with a big health institution with all the bells and whistles, right? And he said the big thing he said I find is the responsiveness. And I said, what do you mean? And he said every single communication I have ever had with this company, whether it was a text message, an email, a phone call, you got back to me immediately. Like, I can't get over it. Like, even if I had inquired about something and I didn't expect a quick response, it wasn't something that was pressing, like, you were back within minutes saying, hi, so-and-so, thank you so much for inquiring. That's a great question. Yeah. And then he said, and then you always end off with like, is there anything else I can assist you with? Right. And then the next thing he says, and here's the other big thing you do different. He said, you guys say you're welcome. I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, like, say we're communicating via text message, and I communicate, and I'm talking to a support agent. It's like, hey, I'm in a property, and I think one thing that happened to him last week was someone had jury-rigged their chandelier with a rope, and as he was dusting it, the jury rig came apart, the chandelier dropped, the chain caught it, but there was no damage or anything, and it wasn't something that was his fault.
Scary.
But he followed the policy. He sent in, uploaded the picture into the app, and he texted in and done the things he's supposed to do. And after we addressed it, he said, thank you. And then the support agent said, you're welcome. And he said, like, that's unusual, he said, because people don't normally say those things. Like, I find, like, they matter to me, like, that I know I can call this company, I can call the 888 number, and I'm definitely going to get somebody. And if I don't get someone, I'm going to get an immediate call back. And I know that every single time I communicate with you, no matter what it is, 100% of the time, it's going to be resolved. And to me, that little tiny nuance is huge, because it's reflective of an overall feeling of your interactions with your providers and how you value them. So, like, you can show them that you value them by, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a Christmas party. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying for us, right? You can value them by having a Christmas party, or you can value them by treating them as a customer, because when you're dealing with a customer, you're going to be responsive. And like, if you miss a phone call, you want to get that call back immediately. And Tom can probably give you the stats on how that affects your sales. If you don't call back within exactly 6.7 minutes, you only have a 20% chance of actually, getting this deal, because he follows that stuff. But what's the difference between that and with a provider, right?
I think what you're saying is there shouldn't be a difference.
So there isn't a difference with us, and that was a huge part in going from almost 200% in turnover down to just under 10%. And
under 10% on an annual basis.
We hire 100 people today. 92 of them are going to be with us this time next year.
That's awesome. That is almost unheard of. So what you're describing in terms of the responsiveness is, good to set as a goal, and at the beginning of the year, so we're all setting goals, right? And getting ready for the new year. The tricky part is executing on those goals, meeting those goals. So it sounds, not only did you identify that that's what you needed to do in order to provide the customer service to your cleaning professionals, but you also had to deliver it. So it says easy and does hard, I guess is what I'm thinking. How do you make the transition?
Well, a big part of it was actually, there was one big part of it was just having an honest conversation. One of the things we did is we sat down and, I sat down and I said, come on, guys, why are people quitting? Like, be honest. Why are people quitting? What's the truth, right? And one of the things we did start off with is we talked about money straight up. We talked about a living wage. And we said, well, what is a living wage? And then we found a website called Living Wage Canada. And we found out there's a whole movement and there's different organizations that measure the metrics when it comes to living wages and purchasing power. And we figured out in Vancouver, which is like the most expensive Canadian city to live in, what a dollar per hour living wage would be, and what's that exactly defined as exactly. And then what we done is, okay, well, we had to be able to at least pay a living wage, at least, right? And if we can't pay a living wage, people are going to be more concerned whether or not they can afford to get their brakes fixed, if they're going to have enough money to give to their child when they go to school for the book fair or whatever the particular needs are, right? And if they're at work and they're really worried and stressed out on a constant basis on this kind of stuff, it's really hard to be focused on whether or not you get that last piece of dust off Mr. Smith's baseboard, and we just wanted to go from there. But when we worked out what a living wage was and we looked at what we could charge in the different markets and stuff, the margins weren't very good. So then obviously we had to do a lot of work to try to say, well, how can we be a very lean company? How can we operate profitably, very lean on our end, and pay out a lot more than everyone else, right? So I'm not going to say that's not a part of it, but that's not all of it. Because, when people get surveyed time and time again, they always say, as a customer will say, what's the number one thing? And they'll seldomly say price, number one. Price will be third or fourth, maybe. They'll talk about quality, consistency, the character of the providers that come in their house, right? But all of these things would be things that matter to them, right? So I guess for us, we took care of that side of it and learned how to get lean by, leveraging out international employees and different things that we do to help us be lean, and great software. We don't use Made Central right now, although I'll be honest with you, it's up for discussion within the next few weeks, 100% for something we're doing. We actually have several different pieces of software we're using right now, and we're
you have to have several pieces if you don't have Made Central.
Well, because we're finalizing something we're working on, and which one will be the right one for us. So, but my point being is that leveraging out great software, reducing our human resources cost. Once we dealt with that, it's okay. Well, let's talk about onboarding, and that was a huge part of it, was onboarding, the onboarding experience, right? And so one of the things we do is that, so last time we put a job ad out, I think we had 7,000 people apply, from across Canada. And so you got these big numbers, right?
Wow.
So the thing is, not every candidate is going to be a good fit, right? And sometimes it's simple, they don't have a vehicle. They don't have a clear criminal background.
Well, especially if you have 7,000 applicants. Of course, it's going to be good. There's going to be a ton of people that are not good.
Right. And what I found myself personally, I remember being a young man, and I remember having kids and, finishing college and struggling by, and needing a job really bad and applying for a job really bad. And then, talking to my partner, I was I hope I get it. And I think I should get it. And I think, and you need this job. You need to get working. You need to make money, right? For your family and for yourself and everything. And then you're waiting, and you think a couple of days, well, maybe I should call them, right? And you think, well, but I don't want to be too eager, and you're these crazy conversations go on in your head. And I remember having those conversations, and I got to be honest with you, it wasn't very enjoyable. And one of the things that we really pride ourselves in is that we reply to every single person who applies with us 100% of the time. That's really, really important to us, that we reply to everybody.
Was that one of your employees that was calling?
No, I have a do not disturb list. I have a 9.
If you have to answer that, we understand.
We totally
we have support agents who take care of that, thankfully. But the thing is that
really were hoping that you were going to give us a demonstration, Mark.
I got do not disturb. We'll do a conversation, actually a fake one if you want, and we'll do that. We'll do some role playing. But so I'll try to speed up in how I'm talking here. So 7,000 people apply. Yes, it's automated. 100% of people get replied to, and we automate them. We reply instantly, hey, thanks for applying. We really, really appreciate it. We'd like you to actually leave this platform, whatever platform they happen to come in through, and we'd like you to hop over to this website and actually put in an online application with us. Now, once that online application comes in, 100% of those applications get reviewed by a live person, a support agent. Now, the way the questions are posed, we don't got to spend time on it. We know yes, 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 no, 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 reject. We know the answers. It'd be like that. But when we reject somebody, we have canned responses, but we still reply to everybody 100% of the time. And we do it within one business day, always. Okay, so my point is that's where the brand starts. Because whether those people are a good fit or not, or wherever they're going to be in our world, whether they'll be customers one day, whether they know people, we have a person who works with us now whose wife started working with us, and it wasn't a good fit for her. And she's done a couple of really good bookings. She went out and done a booking, and it was we had to completely redo it. It was a Friday night. It was late at night. I had to get involved in it. It interfered with bedtime for Scarlett. It was just an awful experience. And when we met on it, she's like, I don't think it's a good fit for me. And we started talking, and I wished her well, and I thanked her. I thanked her for really giving it a good, honest go, right? And she said, I was afraid of this phone call. What was it? Google Meet, right? I was afraid of this because I thought you would come down on me and you would be hard on me and you would be rude to me, and had a lot of anxiety over it, right? So what ended up happening is that she went down. She's back in school now. She's pursuing a different career. So all of a sudden we get an application sometime later, and it's the husband applying. And we didn't put together that they were married till after he was retained. And then we put it together. I spoke to him about it. It's like, is that your wife? And I asked him why he chose us, right? And he said, I've been watching this company for a long time, watching your ads, watching things, and I wanted to make this move. And I suggested to my wife maybe she should try it, and I'll clue up. And he said, the way you treated her when she offboarded, he said that was what sold me. The way you treated her, even when she wasn't a good fit, and that said a lot about you guys, Yeah. And so being responsive starts from the application. So then all of a sudden, someone applies. We say, hey, we would like you to join our team. Okay, so we make them an offer. Well, in that offer, we'll embed 6 or 7 videos. Okay, and those videos might be anywhere from a minute to 6 minutes long. And we ask them if they kindly watch those videos before they accept our offer, because we want them to get a really good idea of what it might look like if they become a part of our network of professional house cleaners. And we want them to really make sure that they learn as much as they can to see if it's a good fit for them. But before we even get into that, there's a welcome video, and it's me. And I was like, hey, here's who I am. And first of all, thank you for applying. And it's really good to meet you, and I hope this works out. Your success is our success. And that's not just verbiage with us. We really mean it. And I want you to know, and then we talk about a couple of the values very succinctly. And I said, now, look, when in doubt, give your support team a shout. That's the one thing I want you to remember when you're a part of this network. So below is a Calendly link, and it goes directly to me. And at any point in time during the onboarding process or any point with your tenure with us, if you want to talk to me directly, you can click that link and book a 15-minute appointment with me, and I'll address your concerns.
Like that.
President of a company, or in this case, I'm the vice president of Motivated House Cleaners. I'm the president of the company that owns it. But that's unheard of, right? So my point is that those little treating them as a customer starts right on the onboarding process by how you respond, how quick you respond, how professional you respond. And then what about once they get working with you? And what if they run into problems? How do you respond to that? And how do you talk to people? And one more thing I want to mention is one of the big things that I'm very proud of, and I think makes a huge difference because it affects culture. And we use Trainual, and we built out a learning management software inside of Trainual. And our support agents, they watch videos and do all kinds of training and testing to understand the culture, right? And how they're going to answer the phone. And it can get really easy when you see, a call come in the call center software, and you can see that this is a provider, and you know who that provider is. It's easy to say, hey, Tyler, how you doing today? Or, hey, Mary, how are you? But you know what? Our job is to serve them, right? Our job is to serve them and to do a great job serving them. If we can do a great job serving them, and we're not holding hands and singing Kumbaya. I'm not saying anything about lowering standards, because I want to talk about that. But if we serve them really well, so we answer the phone, and the phone is like, hi, Tyler, Dominic speaking. How may I assist you today? And I'll listen to phone calls and stuff, and sometimes I'll barge in, I'll do different things with, I monitor what's going on with these calls, and I'll listen to it, and I'll have a meeting with the provider, a support agent, and it's like, hey, I noticed that you're getting very comfortable with provider A, and you're, hey, Mary, how are you? And I love the fact that you're getting close to Mary and you're building a rapport. But let's not forget that Mary is a customer, and you need to treat her with respect. When we get someone calls in, Hey, sir, how may I assist you today, sir? Thank you, ma'am. I really appreciate that. It's sir, it's ma'am. It's not Bob and Mary. Like we treat our customers and speak to our customers with respect. We're very lucky to have them. Without them, I have no job. Cannot feed my family. This is very serious business to me.
Yeah.
So these providers are the same. So, although we don't say sir and ma'am, it's like, how may I assist you today, Tyler? And then when they bring something to us, we go through it and we'll do the same thing. So let me get this correct. So you're calling in today because you tried to clock in and the software didn't allow you to clock in, but you actually arrived at this time and this happened and that's what you're looking for help with. Yes. Okay, great. So we'll help the person. And then it's like, okay, is there anything else we can assist with today? So like, just that's a bit unusual. And they'll say, no, thanks. That's great. Oh, fantastic. Or they might say, yeah, actually, I'm really glad. One of the interesting things is when people first onboard, if they haven't learned about us through people they know, what they'll do is that they'll send an email in for something and we'll respond, an autoresponder and, get back and we're going to get back to them. And maybe some tickets might take 7 days to resolve because it just takes 7 days. It could be because that ticket could be dependent on a third party. Okay. Right. And we'll follow our tickets. We don't just leave them there and we'll touch base, but they'll kind of come back to us a day or two later and they'll almost press us for the resolution because they're so used to communicating with other companies who never get back to them or put them on the sidelines and they have to kind of nag. Right. And we'll say, hey, we'll call out and say, hey, just want to let you know, not one communication you ever have with us ever is going to go unresolved. Like we have a 100% response rate. 100% of the time we're going to resolve whatever you have. And they'll be like, well, it's a fact. The only way that we wouldn't is if there was a bug in the software. And if so, well, we'll find it out and we'll flush it out and we'll find out where that bug happened and we'll resolve it. And what happens is that then they start to learn that over time because the proof's in the pudding, right? We deal with this issue and we deal with that issue and we take care of all the things 100% of the time and they build a sense of confidence in us. So that they can just send us an email, send us a text, send us a communication, and they can forget about it because they know that that's going to be resolved. And these guys are on it.
Mark, Lawrence has a question about working interviews. Is that something you've ever used? Does that fit into this framework?
I was hoping I wouldn't be asked questions about interviews, Lawrence. We don't do interviews in our house cleaning division at all.
Lawrence, that's an awesome question then. Let's hear about this. How does this work?
Yeah, so tell us about this.
I'll give it to you quick. Okay, so big 5 personality traits. Liz, I know with DISC you do a lot of work on personality traits and whatnot. So conscientiousness is of the big 5 personality traits. Conscientiousness is the one that most predicts success, not just in professional house cleaning, but anything in life, really. It's like the big personality trait. So we try to hire for conscientiousness. Okay. And
that's a big word. And I mean this in all sincerity. How do you define that?
Well, I can pull up my brand values and actually read out what conscientious is for you on a screen, but it's going to eat up a lot of the 20 minutes we have left to get that in the drive and pull it up. So I'm not going to do it. So I'll give you kind of more the simple version because we define all of these things as it pertains to working with us. So like dependability, we all know what that is, but what exactly does it mean in the house cleaning industry with us, right? Mm-hmm. So, but let's just say a conscientiousness is a general attention to detail and caring about the details and caring about the results. Just a very generalized version of conscientiousness, okay?
Could caring caring be synonymous with conscientiousness?
Yes. Okay. Absolutely could be, but it's a dynamic word, and that's a very simplified version, but that's the gist of it, right?
I get it. And you're taking that word because you're trying to make a point, right? You're trying to that this is it's more than just caring. And
we, like I said, we could do a 1 hour just talking about conscientiousness, and I can pull up our brand value and read out a paragraph that big on what conscientiousness is, right? But so we hire for conscientiousness. So first of all, when we put out a job ad, so to speak, we give the person we're very transparent. Transparency was one of the big things when we talked after that Vegas trip and we sat down and talked. We talked about being more transparent.
Okay.
Now, that didn't mean opening up our balance sheet and our income statement, but it did mean be very transparent, exactly what this involves. Because as a natural salesperson, I used to be a realtor way back in my 20s. I made top 3% on earth for Coldwell Banker Network. I could sell things. And I found myself in interviews a lot of times selling the job to people. And they want to work with me. They're like, this is great. And they weren't a good fit and it wouldn't work out, right? And I'd get this big big turnover because they were attracted to me and how I was presenting the job. And I had to learn to just really present it exactly for what it is and not for what it's not, and be very real in what they should expect their life would look like if they did this job, right? So, we obviously get that out to people, Lawrence. Now, when they apply, okay, we send them over to another website. Well, let's pick random numbers, pick 1,000 people, okay? So you have 1,000 people apply, and we say, hey, thanks for applying. It's so good to hear from you on Indeed or whatever platform, ZipRecruiter or something. Would you kind of just hop on over to our website and put in an online application? Now, out of 1,000 people, about 400 are going to do that.
Okay.
About 400 are going to do that, right? They're just not going to reply. They're just randomly applying to everything they see or whatever the case might be, right? Okay, so that's conscientiousness. We asked them to do something. So they had to jump through a hoop, so to speak, and they went over and they applied. Now, when they apply, we ask them important questions we need to know. They go on our websites, like, for example, do you have a criminal conviction? Do you have a vehicle? Can you lift a certain amount of weight? There's obviously standard questions you need to know, right? And we know that we've got, and I can't remember what the order is now because I don't manage on a day-to-day basis, but let's say we need yes, 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 no, no, yes, yes. Whatever we need, and then if it's in that order, we make them an offer, and we make an offer to everybody. So of that 1,000 people, 400 come over, maybe 40, their application's rejected because of some of the questions are not answered the way we need. So say we make 360 to get an offer. We just made an offer to 360 people. We never looked at their resume yet. We never interviewed them. We asked them to join our network. And yeah, people make faces like Tom just made, and that sounds perfectly normal. But we're hiring for conscientiousness, right? So what happened?
Keep with your number. So now you just hired 360 people.
No, I didn't say that. I said I made an offer to 360 people. That's very different. Okay, so in that offer, there's a series
are you deeming that these 360 people to which you made an offer are conscientious because they went to the website and filled out a form?
We don't know the level of conscientiousness yet. We haven't got to the bottom of it, but we're getting there.
We got one piece of the conscientious puzzle.
Right. So we've made an offer. Okay. So we've made an offer, and in that offer, we asked them to watch a series of videos. Okay, and that's work. Now, if you're about to embark on this new career, or maybe it's the same career with this new company, and it could be potentially a life-changing, really great career, and you're about to embark on that, I think investing 30 minutes of your time to watch some short videos to educate you on what this career is going to be really about for you is not a lot to ask from somebody, is it?
Okay. Yeah.
No, I don't think it is.
No.
And here's the thing. And I know myself, if I was going to start a new career, say Tom came to me and said, Mark, I want to hire for this, but I need you to watch this thing for an hour first. And I got an opportunity to work alongside Tom and make some great money with Tom. I'm going to invest in that. That's not a lot to ask from me. Yeah. So, and I'm being very sincere when I say that, Tom, by the way, so you can hire me to do something later. But jokes aside,
you're applying for a job, Tom.
So anyway, let's drill this down. So
right.
Of that 360, how many people? Now we asked them to reply. And we asked them to reply in a certain way. If you accept our job offer, would you mind replying? And would you mind specifically saying, I accept I have received, I can't remember what it was now because I don't manage it daily anymore. I just wrote it ages ago. But it's basically, I've consumed all the content and agree and blah, 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 blah. And basically that's embedded into the video. You can't read that and know how to reply. So we know if they caught that, right? We know. It's almost like a secret code word, right? It's like when I get someone to do something for me on Fiverr, right? I'll do some content on Fiverr and I'll be like, and I'm only replying to people who say the word cat to me, and I'll embed that in there. And if they start off with cat, then okay. And if not, I don't look at them because I need to know they read the job description of what I'm hiring them to do on Fiverr, right? Kind of the same type of thing. Okay, so of that 360, I would say probably 60 people accept our offer. 300 people never come back. Okay, so we had 1,000. Now we got 60 people. Well, hey, who doesn't want to hire 60 people for the cleaning company today? A lot of people do, right? That's good numbers. Okay, so now what we do is they come back, okay, and if they reply and they don't say what we need them to, we'll go back to them and say, hey, and this is all canned responses. It does take a lot of human resources. We go back and say, hey, Bob, thank you so much for getting back. Unfortunately, you didn't acknowledge what we needed you to acknowledge in the videos. Would you mind hopping on back going through those videos one more time, consume all the content, and once you do, come on back and let us know if you accept this offer in the way we asked you. And guess what? So say we send back 10 of those people, leaves us with 50. One of those people come back. Now, if they come back, what we're doing with them is we're training them in already before they even start at that. Hey, like our standards aren't negotiable. Like when we ask you to do something, this is what we expect you to do.
Yeah.
Like we didn't ask you. If we have a policy that we're not going to enforce, then we shouldn't have that policy. We need to can that policy. So let's say we'll now take these 50 people that are left and we'll say, hey, you know what? Welcome to the team. But before we can officially onboard you, we've got some online training we'd like you to do. And you know what? You can do it as self-paced. Take a week. But when you're done it, now we know when they're done it. We know what percentage they are. We know the last time they logged on to the training portal. I mean, obviously we have the metrics, right? But we just say that, and when you're done, you come back to us and let us know that you're finished. Okay? Well, each day the support agent goes in, it's like, yeah, this person's been onboarded 3 days ago and got 0% done. Boom, canned response. Yeah, we've noticed you have 0% done, goodbye, basically. In a really nice way. If we made a mistake, come back to us. And sometimes they come back, right? So
if you're nice to the person that stole from you, you've got to be nice to them, right?
You got to be nice to everybody all the time. And today I really got challenged on a call that got escalated to me on that when I had a customer being abusive to a support agent. And
well,
it was really hard to be nice.
Story. Tell us.
I won't, but you got to be nice all the time. So to everybody. Okay. So what happens next is when it's all said and done, maybe 10 people come back to us and they're like, hey, I'm done my online trading. Right. Yeah. And then so of 1,000 people, we got 10 people. And there's a bunch more hoops they got to jump through too.
Are those reasonable numbers? I mean, do you get 1,000 applicants?
No, yes, 1,000, he said.
Yeah. So it's across the entire country with 35 million people.
Okay.
It's not a 2 million person state. And even if you were in Florida and you got 23 million, I think Florida got 23 million now, I just read. Yeah, they're growing. They were the biggest growing state in America last year was Florida, right? Because a lot of people moved over there that didn't kind of enjoy the lockdowns or whatever's going on in your country. That crazy country. This country's going crazy too. Trust me. But my point is, yes, Tom, it's a big country with millions. So those are reasonable numbers. So my point is that for 1,000 people, you might end up with 10 or 5 on the ground. Now, once we've hired them, they upload into a HRIS platform. So we send them more instructions. Please upload to our HRIS platform, right? So human resource platform. Now they upload, they put in, they sign off a contract, they upload their pictures, put in their, you guys call it Social Security, we call it SIN number, social insurance number. They put in these things we need. Then we review it. And if it's not right, we send it back to them, make it do it again. We don't hold their hands ever. They have to do it themselves every single time, and that weeds out some more people. And then finally, we see a picture of them. Now, they have to upload the criminal background check that they get from our platform, right? They use click our platform as National Company Supplies a background check that goes through all the things. But the thing is that we didn't get them to give us that earlier. We just got them to say that they had it. I mean, we'll know if they get to the end they don't have a criminal background check. We'll offer them, obviously. But my point being is that when do we see and we look at a picture and it's like, wow, that's a 6'4" Sri Lankan guy with long hair. Or hey, that person has a tattoo of a spider on their hand. Or we used to be almost predominantly women, and now we're 50-50 down the board, men and women, without diversity and all that kind of stuff. Literally, just because people who have a natural aptitude for it and who have conscientiousness and are willing to invest the time and energy to pursue this career and pay attention to the little details in the onboarding, when they end up on the ground, they're more likely to be successful because they've proven they're conscientious. And what ends up happening is they just don't turn over because they're a good fit, right? And
they work hard to get this job.
Right. So I don't need to interview them. They've proven to me. And you know something? I went to business school. I know about the halo effect. I know about the similar me effect. I know about all these human resources practices. And you know something? I gave interviews and they were extremely high Donald Trump. I gave the best interviews. Okay, they were the best. They're better than all the other interviews. No, literally, they were great interviews that follow and cross the T's and dot the I's. And I was still wrong almost all of the time on who I hired. I was always wrong because my turnover showed that I was always wrong.
I think he's not talking about regular interviews. He asked in the question about working interviews. So you can see if the people have so it's great that they're conscientious, but do they have the capacity to do the job? Do they have?
Right. So we hired the person
Yeah.
They're onboarded now. There was no actual interview. The interview was going through this process, and now we have this person that works with us,
Yeah.
and we started signing them bookings. So we
Okay.
started signing them bookings. So they go out into the field, they do the work. Every single thing is paid attention to. If they don't click the On My Way button at exactly 50 minutes before a booking, it creates a sport ticket. A sport agent calls them and says, "Hey, we noticed you didn't click On My Way. Is everything okay?" You know, if we are supposed to clock in at 8 a.m. at 8:01 p.m., we're calling AM. We're calling them if they didn't clock it.
Gotcha.
You know, like all of the things are very heavily automated and monitored to make sure that we know if anything's going off the rails. And then you got the feedback. And then when the feedback comes from the customer, now, then, you know, the end of the first week, you have face-to-face and you have all these success coaching, we call it, and regular meetings and all kinds of different things, sure. But as far as like out in the field, no, they completely train themselves. Like they train themselves 100% with online training. And then what we ask them to do is once they've done their online training, we ask them to practice in their own homes, in the homes of their friends, to complete our checklist. And you know, we like them to get that done within a week, the practice part. But if they need extra time, and we had people come and say, you know, I've cleaned my mother-in-law's house, I cleaned my house, I've done your premium checklist in a friend's house, it took me 7 hours. And I'm like, that should have been 3. And, you know, they go through all the things and we collaborate with them. And when they feel ready, like, I'm ready to go into the field, you know, and they go out into the field and then, you know, well, 92% of the time it's a good fit since all this got changed. But so that onboarding is because remember I said at the beginning, like this turnover and how we treat them as customers. And I said it was dynamic, right?
Yeah.
Well, hey, there's a lot of moving parts. You got the living wage, you got the conscientious onboarding and all the different things. But ultimately what it boils down to is that for me, Mark Baker, trying to fulfill my life's dream, you know, and build a legacy that I can be proud of, that my 3 daughters will be proud of, you know, and all the things that we're trying to do with our lives. I really want this to succeed. Like I don't want this to fail. And I just really, really understand how important the providers are. Now, look, we have a professional house cleaner who is absolutely fantastic. She's beloved by me, by everybody, by the support agents, but she's amazing. She's extremely dependable. She's just the quintessential perfect person, right? But coming out of Christmas, statistically, we do get a little bit more, you guys call them call-outs in America. We call them call-ins in Canada, believe it or not. It's calling in sick. You guys call it calling out. The first time I heard call-outs, I was like, what the heck is that? A call-out? Yeah, it's call-ins.
We have both.
No, it's call-in sick. Call-out. They don't use that in Canada at all, not to my knowledge. So, but we get a little bit more call-outs or call-ins just after Christmas. And really what it boils down to is they're exhausted. You know, they've worked hard all year long. They get a few days off. Christmas is a big deal here in Canada. They get a rest. And sometimes it's hard to get that old motor going again and get back to work, right? After all the chocolates and the turkey and all the stuff. Yeah, you know, hey, it happens. And sometimes it's easier to give a platitude than to be honest. And the honesty is, hey, you know what? I'm finding it really hard to go back to work Monday. I feel like I'm still in Christmas mode. And I don't want to go. I want to take a mulligan. and if that provider had said that to me or to the person who brought it to me, I would have said, I get that. I feel you. Let's have a look and see what we can do here. Is this possible to do this for you? Right? But when someone tells me they can't come in because, you know, they're worried about the brakes on the car all of a sudden and a few different other things that I know are platitudes, and that's a hard stop. There's a face-to-face meeting, and that person needs to set accountability to the fact that they're not meeting their commitment and not living up to the level of dependability that this company expects, because it's our number one brand value is dependability above all else. And then, you know, during that meeting, this person was able to say, you know, yeah, you're right, and this isn't good enough, and it's not good enough to let a customer down, and this and that and the other thing. And so my point is that even though we are treating them as customers per se, right, and we truly believe that because I know they are my customers, or how I make a living. And on the same token, that's not to be mistaken with, like I say, you know, just falling over. It's a business relationship. It's a business relationship that's clearly defined. There's expectations, like Tom said. We clearly outline the expectations of what they can expect from us. We promise no more than we should and no less. And we simply live up to what we do, because I don't think as a company I have to promise the sky, the moon, and the stars, so to speak. What I do think is I simply have to be very clear about what they should expect when they become a part of our network of professional house cleaners, and then simply live up to it. If they're supposed to get paid Fridays at 3 o'clock, make sure they're paid Fridays at 3 o'clock. If you say your response time is 24 hours, then respond within 24 hours. You know, you just live up to what you're supposed to. And that in and of itself sets you apart from so many other businesses, because you're not just competing with other house cleaning businesses for these providers, you're competing with other businesses that they can go work with in other industries too, aren't you?
Other small businesses. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure, small or large, whatever.
This is what I heard. I heard from you that so tell me if I'm close on your brand promise, because this is the message that you gave to me. Be polite, be responsive, that you guys believe in being conscientious. I'm assuming that you don't expect them to be conscientious only, that you want them to be conscientious because that's part of your culture. You're going to also be conscientious.
That would only be right, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it makes sense with what you're saying too.
Sure.
Be dependable, and then hold people accountable. That's pretty much what I heard. I heard a little bit of transparency in there, but not entirely. So I didn't add that one.
But build that into your everyday practices. Build that in, like, and I mean, I know like there's different philosophies, and I do, and it's not meant to be disrespectful, but I do hear it more when I go to America than when I'm in Canada. Working for me. All right, working for me versus working with me. I hear that a lot more in your country than mine, and I'm not like I love America. I'm not trying to crap on your country.
Or in your company.
But my country's better. No, I'm just kidding. But it used to be. No, I don't know what I'm saying there. Canada's a mess.
Well,
Right
yeah,
now. Canada's a mess.
We'll move on from that. You know, we are like almost at the top of the hour. So like in the last minute that we have here, Mark, do you have any closing thoughts for us?
Yeah, my closing thoughts would be take a good hard look in the mirror about what the real reasons are why people are turning over, and make little tiny changes, just tiny ones, in how you interact with the people who work with you on a daily basis, and implement them one at a time, incrementally, in really small bits. And over time, that's going to change your brand and how people view you in the marketplace, the chaos, dependability, and also give what you expect. Give what you expect. You expect conscientiousness, you expect accountability, then give it. When I make a mistake, and I make them, I call the provider and it's like, hey, we let you down, and that's my fault, and here's why it's my fault, and here's what I'm going to do to future-proof that. And when I get that future-proofed, I'm going to contact you back on this, and I'm going to let you know that it's fixed permanently so it never happens to anyone else again. And you know what else? I'm really sorry about that. That's how you have to treat people, if that's what you expect from people.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. You got to treat people the way you want them to treat you, right? They're not good.
A lot of ground covered tonight. Liz, I got to say in closing, whenever I see your smile, look, I wasn't smiling today. I had a hard day today. And I see your smile, and it's just something about you, something about Liz.
All those teeth all over the place. Yeah.
Nah, I think it comes from like, you know, the personality that you put out to the public. And it's just something special about you. And I'm really happy to spend some time with you tonight.
You know, this was good, Mark. I mean, as always, you bring a lot of energy and a lot of good information. It's fun. I've got a couple of nuggets out of this. You know, you really got to provide awesome service to former employees, even if they steal from you, because they have friends that might. What type of referral could you get? It's like, yeah, I'd go get a job with Mark's company because, you know, heck, I stole from them. They're still good to me. I mean,
you're only making fun of me a little bit, aren't you, Tom? Just a little bit.
I'm dead serious. That's
jokes aside. Is that look? We take it seriously. We take responsibility
that's
seriously.
Promoter. That's you got people out there that are fans promoting your business, and just because they're not working for you anymore, they're hanging out with people who might.
Yeah.
So
well. We're about to relaunch nationally again after having some trials and tribulations to do. My goal is 2,500 people by the end of this year in the house cleaning. That's what my goal is, okay, across Canada. That's what I'm dead set on. Now, hey, do it or die trying, so to speak, right? So the thing is that we're at the point now where we're going to be able to send out Vouch, which is a piece of software where they can answer short questions, click a button, and give a video testimonial on different questions as providers, right? And we're going to use that for our marketing. We're about to launch and different things like that, right? And Liz is intrigued, so I'll send you a link on it, Liz. So one of the things is that because over time we've consistently been able to hold that, we now know that this
The producers in my ear.
Yeah, so I'll clue up in under 10 seconds.
Okay.
We know now that we can use these testimonials from these people to show other people in the marketplace to come work with us that we're not too good to be true. That's actually how it is when you're part of our network.
People do love that.
Yeah,
They
that's cool.
love that. That's gold. All right, y'all. So thanks everybody for coming today. Lawrence, he was really excited. Look at all these comments. We didn't pull them up for you, but he was very excited. You are speaking his language, Mark.
Oh, thanks, Lawrence. Appreciate the kind words.
Yeah. We had a lot of people in here today.
Really?
So thank you so much, Mark. And really, you always bring all of the energy, and you never just kick back and relax. Wait for us to do the work. So
Great way to start 2023. Thank you. We'll be back next Wednesday, 5 o'clock Eastern. You guys take care. Bye-bye.
bye, y'all.
Bye-bye, guys.